Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. This is my first sit down video in the new apartment, so I'm sorry if it looks a bit bare and empty at the moment. We've only just moved in. I need to make the place look nice and spruce it up with some home decor, but for the minute it's looking a bit plain, so just bear with me on that. I feel like I haven't done a sit down video in so long with you guys, but today I'm going to be talking about how to survive your first month in Singapore. I get questions all the time with newbie expats or expats to be that are moving to Singapore and they want to know what to expect. Obviously I can make loads of content all about living in Singapore, so I'll link that in the iCards, and I have playlists down below that you can sit through my videos and watch. I also have an ebook coming out soon all about Singapore, what to expect as an expat in Singapore, as well as all my favourite spots in Singapore, so cafes, restaurants, bars and neighbourhoods. So do stay tuned for that. It's going to be out by the end of April, I promise you. In the meantime, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on it, or you can go follow me on Instagram at The Vintage Vision and I will update you there when it is released. So let's just go ahead and start, and I'll tell you all how to survive your very first month in Singapore. The first one is public transport is going to be your best friend, so use it as much as you can. Not only is it a great way to get around the city and to get familiar with different places, which obviously takes practice, but it is so cheap and efficient. The train network is super reliable, although I know some Singaporean friends will disagree, but trust me, it's super reliable, it's very efficient, it's quick. You can access basically anywhere in Singapore through the MRT and the bus services. The best thing to do to survive your first month is to pick up yourself an EZ-Link card. This is just a card that you can top up, use it to tap in and out of MRT stations as well as on the buses. So that is the most efficient way, rather than buying like single and return tickets for each place, which it's too much of a fuss in my opinion. I also really recommend that you download the app City Mapper. This is a great way to get around Singapore without any hassle. It gives you the quickest routes and how to access your destinations, whether it's by walking or bus or MRT. It plans the route out for you, which is always so handy, especially when you're in a new city and you might be scared of getting lost. But also I want to say, don't be scared about getting lost. Singapore is super safe, and if you find yourself going in the wrong direction, just embrace it. There's bound to be another MRT just around the corner, so sometimes getting lost is the best way to explore a new city. Second piece of advice is to explore your local neighborhoods. Really go out there and see what is on your doorstep. Yeah, really go out there, explore your neighborhood. What local coffee shops do you have? Your local hawker centers. Really get stuck in and see what is around you, because that's the most exciting part to me, is exploring your neighborhood. The next point is something that I deeply regret not having in my first month here in Singapore. We've only just discovered the power of the VPN, and oh my god, it is a game changer. During your first month in Singapore, you probably will be missing home TV. Now, if you're British, I would say that British television is pretty damn good, and there are so many shows that I would miss watching and catching up on iPlayer, 4OD, and just shows that are like home comforts, because in your first month you're feeling quite homesick, so having those home comforts, especially like your TV shows, that really makes you feel less isolated, I think. And let's be honest, Singaporean TV isn't the best. HMA VPN have kindly partnered with me for this video, which I'm really excited about. Essentially, they are a VPN service that have a stupid amount of server locations in over 190 countries, which is insane. They definitely have your home country on that list. So HMA VPN actually stands for Hide My Ass, which I thought was a very appropriate name for a VPN service. I do like the humour. Now, if you don't actually know what a VPN is, it is a virtual private network that people normally use for private browsing, security on Wi-Fi at airports, and just generally online streaming. The main benefits of using a VPN is for things like anonymous browsing, secure online banking, as well as content streaming. So this means that expats can use the VPN to access your normal entertainment and news no matter where you lived before Singapore. And they actually have the fastest streaming server for VPN to access iPlayer. So I'm one happy girl. So if you guys want to set up a VPN for yourself, which I highly recommend, you can head on over and get 20% off your 12-month plan with the code Georgia. I will link them down below for you guys to go check them out. And the code expires the 31st of May. So if you're heading to Singapore, I really recommend it. It's going to be a life changer. And then you'll be able to keep up to date with all your home comforts and entertainment. Okay, the next thing you're going to have to get used to when you move to Singapore is reading apartment numbers. Now that might sound strange, but I'm from the UK and no one really had apartments. We would just have landed houses. So when you have to start reading apartment numbers and addresses, it can get quite confusing. Essentially, you have the hashtag first for the number, and the first number will be the apartment floor, and then you have a dash, and the second number will be your actual apartment number. At first it was really confusing to me. I was like, is that the apartment number or is that the floor number? But the floor number always comes first and then the apartment number. So it's something to get used to. Reading Singapore addresses can be quite confusing at first, but there's a little tip for you. The next point is to give yourself time. In the first month, you will start to adapt, but you will also be feeling homesick at the same time. So don't expect to be fully integrated and I guess like really happy and assimilated in the first month, because it's not realistic. I would say at least 6 months before you really start to settle in and you feel comfortable living in a new country. But like I said, just give it time. At the same time, just don't be too hard on yourself. The next point is to buy a prepaid top-up. Now, to this day, I still don't have a phone contract in Singapore. I just use a prepaid top-up. I actually use M1 and I top up, I think, $18 once or twice a month. Now, I've done the maths and it's actually cheaper than me having a phone contract here. I already have an iPhone, so I don't need to buy a contract. I actually, when I first moved here, I was still paying off a phone contract that I had in the UK, which is why I didn't get one here. But now I think about it, I'm just like, no, I'd rather just keep doing prepaid. I think it works out cheaper. And yeah, you might want to do the same thing in your first few months here, and then you could think about getting a contract after. Next point is to expect long working hours. In Singapore, they really work hard. Now, it obviously does depend on your company, whether it's a local company or international, but generally long hours are expected. There's always company WhatsApp groups. Well, this is just my experience, but kind of always on call and always accessible. There's not always a switch off time, which can be quite difficult, but like I said, this won't be the same in every company. You might have a 9 to 5, which is so ideal, but in some companies you will be expected to work late with no overtime. So yeah, the work ethos here is definitely up there. I've also always experienced that people go for lunch at 12 p.m. For me, it was like, it kind of like reminded me of school. Like everyone from all the companies will go to lunch at 12 p.m. If you live in Singapore, let me know, do you go to lunch at 12 p.m. or do you go later? Personally, I just prefer to avoid queues, so I will never go at 12 p.m. I'll go a bit later, like 1 or 2 when the queues have settled down. But God, the queues for the hawker centres at 12 p.m, they are crazy. Next is safety, and of course in Singapore it is super safe. I'm so thankful that I live in a country that is so safe, because it is so reassuring and you just don't have to worry about things like having your backpack on your back, like no one's going to take anything out of your bag, or if you leave your phone, it's more than likely someone's going to pick it up and return it to you. And yeah, you just don't have those stresses that you might normally have in your home country. So safety is a huge factor. Just expect to live in a super safe country. It is the best thing in the world. Just quickly, let's talk about weather. I get lots of questions about the weather in Singapore, like, is it cold this season, or which season's more rainy? Honestly, it is the same temperature all year round. It's 30 degrees Celsius all year round. Like, it doesn't really change ever. We get the odd rainy seasons, but I couldn't tell you when a specific rainy season is, because I think it changes each year. Like, I've been here 4 years now and I feel like it always changes. So my best advice is to, number one, always wear sunscreen, especially on your face. This is super important because you could age quickly out here from sun damage. Number two is always carry an umbrella. come rain or shine. I now carry umbrellas like a little auntie in the sunshine because it's just way too hot. I don't like the sun blaring down in my face anymore. And also it could pour with rain at any second, so always carry an umbrella. In my first month here, I was probably having 3 showers a day because I was just so hot. It is gonna take you a good few months to adapt to the weather. And trust me, you will adapt. But for that first month, expect to be showering a lot. Maybe carry around a portable fan with you. The first month of heat can be quite overwhelming, so just shower lots, turn the aircon on, make sure you're drinking lots of water because you can get really dehydrated from the amount that you are sweating. So yeah, keep hydrated, bring an umbrella and wear sunscreen. Okay, Singlish is gonna be quite difficult to get to grips with in your first month, especially if you're going to be working with Singaporeans. Almost like another language. Singlish is Singapore slang combined of Chinese and Hokkien and Malay words, and it's just kind of jumbled all together, and it's like an efficient slang that Singaporeans use here. My first month, it was just like over my head. I didn't understand a word. But it is a good idea for you to learn some basic Singlish. I have a few videos on Singlish, so I'll link them in the iCards or down below in the description box if you want to learn some Singlish from an expat. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I think it is good to have some basic knowledge of Singlish words. And the very last point is food. Make sure you bring your appetite when you come to Singapore because there is so much food to be eaten around the city. Now, at first, hawker centres can definitely be quite intimidating. I remember my first experiences, I felt very out of my depth, you know. I think I went to one in Chinatown, there was all these Chinese guys getting quite leery and drinking and playing mahjong, and I was just quite intimidated and felt really out of place. You feel like everyone's looking at you, but really you just got to get stuck in, try different hawker stalls, try new foods. But yeah, starting to order from hawker centres is also a great way to start communicating with locals as well. So yes, make sure you get stuck in and bring your appetite with you because man, the food is delicious. Okay guys, I think I'm gonna wrap the video up here because I feel like I've been talking for ages. I really hope this video was helpful and all the best of luck with your first month in Singapore. You are going to nail it and I'm sure you're going to love it so much. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. Click that bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. And don't forget to go and check out HMA VPN down below. Thanks guys for watching as always and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!